Welcome to this week's episode of Monica Mentors. I am so honored to be your host, author Monica Martin Fletcher. And on today's show, we are going to talk about what I consider a very important conversation, especially as you move through what's called the circle of life. We're going to talk about love and esteem, how to build and maintain self-confidence. You know, it's funny, when I was preparing for this show, I kept being reminded of a penny, 1 cent, penny, whatever you want to call it. And a penny is typically considered individually by itself one of the lowest common denominators when we think about change. Now, I know in today's society, we don't use money as much as we used to. We're more of a credit card, debit card type of society. But when I was growing up, you always wanted coins. You always want, a lot of people collected coins. There are people that do that still to this day, even though a lot of us don't. But the penny can be pivotal without realizing. If you just have one, if you continue to add to it, how much you can get accomplished. And so when you think about that penny, I want you to think about yourself. You may feel like you are less valuable. You may feel like you're out there by yourself. You may feel like you need to have other individuals and other people, other conversations, other way of lifestyles added to you to help you feel confident about yourself. And so that's why I feel this is such an important conversation, to help you realize that confidence is one thing, but self-confidence is who you feel that you are on the inside, and how you as a one individual, the penny, can be comfortable with what you bring to the table without regard of what other things come along with that for you. And so today, as we join into this, what I consider an insightful conversation, I want to provide you with some practical tips and some wisdom to empower you on this journey that I kind of think you could even call it self-love and self-worth. I want you to discover today how to embrace your true inner self. And I want you to learn how to navigate challenges for yourself with self-confidence through prayer, through meditation, through grace, and just you being you. That's one of the things that I think as a society we have gotten away from, being different. I'm solving the mystery right now, right on this platform. Being different is okay. Being by yourself is okay. Not going along with the crowd, that's okay. Just be mindful that it's not what you become before or after. It's still just knowing who you are internally that builds you into character and what you were called to be before you were even formed in your mother's womb. And so, y'all know I'm big on my definitions, and I never like to assume. So according to Merriam Dictionary, it defines self-esteem as confidence or satisfaction in oneself. I often laugh a lot of times because a lot of my family members, they will say to you up front, I know who I am. You're not going to change me. I don't care if you don't like it. That doesn't mean it's going to affect me in any kind of way. I am who I am. I love who I am. And guess what? If you don't want to be in that space, that's all on you. That's confidence. Whether you agree with the wording or their attitude, they know who they are. And that is the reason why establishing with confidence your own self-esteem is so important. So as we embark on this path together, I want you to remember the words of Hebrews 10:35 through 36. I love the New International Version. It says, so do not throw away your confidence, because it'll be richly rewarded. You need to persevere so that what you have done, the will of God, you'll receive what was promised to you. Additionally, I love. Anybody will tell you Psalms 139 is my favorite passage in the Bible. Specifically, this one relates to me knowing my self-confidence. It says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And then it goes on to say, you said it with a little sass, and marvelous are your works. It's like I'm telling God, you made me, and I'm confident in that. And so Psalms 139 reminds me daily if I'm having a bad hair day, if somebody getting on my nerves, I got to finish these projects. I have the confidence to know that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Another one that I liked was Isaiah 41:10 from the New International Version. And it says, so do not fear. Do not be dismayed, before the Lord will strengthen you and help you to become who you are. It says you can uphold his love and he'll place his righteousness inside of you. Now, I hope one of the takeaways that you got from that particular context of the episode is some of us may need God to help us to understand who we are so that we can build our self-confidence. I talk to so many people, especially young people. And a lot of times what I hear when I'm listening is I'm not quite sure if they were created in what they thought they were supposed to be, or if they got in certain circles around certain peers and there were some influences that put them in a headspace that created an image or self-confidence of who they should be. I was telling someone recently, I had a conversation with a person and I said, well, tell me who you are. And the person went blank. They could not tell me. And so I shared that because it doesn't just happen to young people. I believe there are a lot of individuals who are, I'm going to say 30 and over, who are still not sure who they are. So how can they display self-confidence if they have kids, if they're in the workspace, if they want to build a platform? You got to know who you are, and you got to know where you are supposed to be inside of you. So I had a couple of discussion points that I wanted to kind of address today. And I thought about it. So I was like, well, in me mentoring you today, I wonder what does self-worth mean to me when I was younger? I mean, I have it now at this age, but I didn't really give a lot of thought to what self-worth is. And in order to understand self-worth, you have to start there before you can build self-confidence. And if you find yourself in a situation where you don't feel worthy, possibly because of the clothes you wear, the shoes, the house your parents may live in, the jobs they may have, because so many times in our society, a lot of things is built around what we own or what we have. And so I'm thinking about it from self-worth from the standpoint of, again, no matter what I feel like, well, no matter what I look like, no matter what my attitude is when I get out of the bed, I am still fearfully and wonderfully made. Perhaps that's step one for you in determining your self-worth, is accepting, almost like an affirmation. So every day, start possibly considering waking up saying, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. There's this adage that is, as long as you do something 21 days, it becomes a habit. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. That's the very first step that I want you to consider. And then I want you to think about, what do you consider value? You remember at the top of the show, I talked about the penny. I never raised my hand. Let me think. If there was $1 and there's a penny on the table, I'm automatically going to the dollar, because physically my mind tells me that I can do more with the dollar than I can with the penny. It never dawned on me that if I save up enough pennies, I can do the exact same thing with the penny that I did with the dollar. I also then take into consideration is I'll spend the dollar faster. I have to save the penny to do a little bit more. What do you value and why do you value what you value? And what do you value? What do you like about yourself? That's another way to determine your self-worth. Do you like the way, I don't know, you clean up your room? Do you like the way you talk on social media? Do you like the way you talk to your parents? I literally almost spazzed out this morning. I was teaching children's church and I heard this child say something to their parent and it threw me for a loop because I have an old school mama. She loves me, but my mother had the eye. Parents don't do the eye anymore. And so for me to hear the child speaking to their parent the way that they did, then a thing popped in my head as I was preparing to come and do this mentorship with you today. Is it that the parent doesn't quite know their self-worth, or has the child overvalued their worth? All of these things tied together, your environment, your atmosphere will set the tone of what you consider as valuable when you're on this road to establishing your self-esteem and your self-confidence. Now, let's talk about positive self-talk. You got to replace those negative thoughts with positive conversations, affirmations. Save them, practice them if you need to. There was another situation I found myself in where this person kept saying they were annoying. Everybody calls me annoying. I've been annoying my whole entire life. And I was like, well, have you ever thought about the fact that you may not be annoying? What makes you think that you're annoying? Like, you're saying people said this about you. Why did you start saying that about yourself? And the individual got quiet when I said it. I didn't ask him anything deep. I just think that I asked them a question that no one had ever asked them before because they had unintentionally set a negative narrative or an affirmation about themselves that as soon as they introduced themselves to you, they automatically said, I'm going to be annoying. Set an affirmation to say, I am going to be positive today. I'm full of joy. And it's okay if you don't feel the joy that day, save it for tomorrow. But only you can determine what you're going to put inside of yourself to be able to be the best you that you can be. And then I want you to learn, this is so important. You have to learn the impact of positive inner self-talk. I shouldn't be able to say more to you than you say to yourself. Because what ends up happening is, let's say you get used to someone telling you that your hair looks good. And then you walk into this season and you still got these bad hairdos in a good way, but nobody says anything. Or suppose you got this. I heard my kids say it's drip. You drip in your outfit, but nobody says anything. You have to, but if you're confident enough, you get up and get dressed, you be like, oh, I'm dripped today. Oh, I'm slaying today. That's another one I heard my kids say. I'm slaying. It's okay for you to say that to yourself, because what happens is you're building your self-confidence and you're not sitting around waiting for someone else to determine who you are, because you've determined that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So learn how to talk positive to yourself. You got a cute pair of cute earrings on. I'm the first one to say to myself, girl, them earrings cute. Girl, them shoes cute. Talk to yourself. A coworker of mine, an employee I used to have, she told me, I want to say it right. She said that you can talk to yourself. You can even answer yourself. Just don't say, huh. Now, okay, that worked for her. But I don't want you to feel like it's crazy to talk to yourself. And I don't necessarily want to use the word crazy, but that's just what I hear in society today. If you're different, it's okay. In some ways, I wish we could go back, especially in our community, to be different. We are so, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like we're too intense nowadays. We have become such a everybody do it one way type of society that in some ways we are like statues, in my opinion. It's either that saying someone used to say, either the highway or the byway, or you do it my way or no way at all. That is not what we were intended to be. How can you grow if you are in a circle where everyone is doing the exact same thing? I call those clones. And it's hard. It's going to be hard for you to build your self confidence when you're walking around with a circle of robotic behaviors. Embrace the inner you. Build your positive conversation about yourself and look for ways to determine again who you are without living in a space that makes you look small. Remember, the penny is shiny. Go find a penny. Go look at a penny. If you find a penny that's beautiful, you can shine it and make it look beautiful again. Positive, your body positivity. Now, this one was a little tricky one for me, guys, because I had to learn how to rebuild my confidence, especially after I had a major surgery. I wasn't able to exercise the way I wanted to. Oh my goodness, I had to buy size and clothing that I had never worn my whole entire life. But I had to get in the mirror one day and was like, girl, stop. You still look good. But it was because I had to say it for myself. Did I have critics? Intentional and unintentional critics who said, oh, this is the most weight I done ever seen on you. Oh, how you gonna function like this? I had to put those voices aside. And some of you guys are going to have to do the exact same thing. Stop talking about I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too this, I'm too that, and just find a space to be the best you that you can be without all of the criticism that you place on yourself. I want you to celebrate your unique features. You got a pretty color eyes, you got, your eyebrows. Listen, I didn't even know that I had nice lashes until all these women start saying to me, you don't even have to get your lashes done. They're perfect. I had never paid any attention to my lashes. Wasn't a project, y'all. Wasn't a priority for me. But then I started paying a little bit more attention to little things, my brows, my fingernails. I'm like, okay, I'll get y'all done all the day, but y'all cute. So start finding some unique features that you can feel confident in celebrating yourself. And then another important tip that I think we often overlook in our community, no matter what age you are, I'm going to say in our world, you've got to practice how to find self-love in a social media world that gives you so many beauty standards that you don't know if you're hot, cold, in between, leg warmer, socks, shoes, Timberlands. It's just all over the place. I love social media, but I also understand how it can put you in a space where hell, you ain't even sure who you want to be. And so learn how to love you every single morning starting today. Wake up and say, I love me. Go to the mirror. Y'all know everybody got a mirror. Go to a mirror and say, I love me. Period. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And then you can get a little jazzy with it like I did. And marvelous are the works of your hand. The Lord be like, this girl too much. But I love that scripture, Psalms 139. And so make sure that you read the whole entire scripture. It'll really make you say, dang, I didn't even know the Bible did it like that. Now, setting boundaries. One of the most important steps you're going to have to learn how to do is say no. I did a show on our platform earlier last year about the importance of saying no. Go back and look at that. On our platform, you're going to learn how to have healthy boundaries in relationships, in friendships, and in business. Because see, you need self-confidence in all of those areas. You don't just deal with, strictly people in the classroom or when you get into the workforce. You're going to deal with people in relationships every single step of the way as long as you're in this journey called life. You're going to say no more than you say yes. I hope you do. But you're not going to know how to do that until you learn and build your self-confidence. And then you got to set boundaries. That's a hard word for some people. I've heard you guys treat it like it's a curse word. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I don't feel obligated to do something just because people think I should do it. That's a boundary. I'm setting boundaries for myself. If I don't want to come at the house, but one of my friends want to go shopping, I'm tired. Not going to make them feel good because I'm going to be miserable going out with them when I should have just set a boundary and said no. It can be just that simple. I don't feel like gaming. I want to color right now. I want to play dominoes. I don't want to play spades. It's about knowing what you're into and knowing what it's okay to say no to. Because a lot of times a yes is a no when you feel that you're obligated to do it. I just messed somebody up with that right there. Do you know how to deal with criticism when you're setting your self-esteem, when you're setting your boundaries, when you're learning how to say no, when you are establishing your self-confidence? When I was in high school, remember how this moment came back to me, but I remember I was in like this pageant or something. And one of the awards that I received was, I don't even remember the name of it, but basically the lady told me, she was like, out of everything that we hit you with, all the questions, everything that all the pageant people who were involved, one of the things they told me was they could tell my facial expression. They could tell I didn't take anything personal. I've always been told that on my job. When I go through job reviews and when I'm in interviews, I've always been told, you seem like you can handle constructive criticism. I can, because a lot of times in the past, nobody was harder on me than I was on myself. But when I learned who I am as an individual and I constructed my own confidence, my own self-esteem, then the criticism, for the most part, it was just conversation to me. Now, I'm willing to admit sometimes people who are close to me, their criticism can kind of burn a little bit, but it doesn't burn long because I take it for what it is. I take it for a grain of salt. And then I take it for an experience. Okay, maybe this is something because they're so close to me. I will give it some conversation and I'll even give it some food for thought. And then I'll take it in prayer. And then I'll try to decipher it and see if it's something that's going to help me grow. Or maybe that person was having a bad day and I was present for them to express that moment. But I don't carry it. As a teen, I didn't carry criticism. It's not that I didn't care. I just didn't give certain things the value that a lot of people did when it came to people's, I'm going to say, constructive criticism, because I know that words can hurt. But when you learn how to build your own self-confidence and your self-esteem, I promise you they'll hurt a little bit less. Another important thing that I want you guys to remember is if you do receive hard criticism, do not let it devalue your worth. Never let a word hurt you so bad that you can't remember who you were created to be. And then you guys are always going to hear me talk about how your faith and your spirituality will help you grow in every single area of your life. Your faith, your belief in God will help you build your confidence. Just like we talked about Hebrews 10:35 through 36, and you will forever again hear me talk about Psalms 139. They are relevant to building your self-worth. Once you get in the word, you'll probably even start finding some words that work good for you. I know a lot of people do Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. That right there is a faith based scripture that says, I know who the Lord is, and the Lord knows who I am. Therefore, I shall not want. That's got to be a doggone self-confident person, not arrogant. We're not talking about arrogancy. We're not talking about someone who can be defined as narcissistic. I know a lot of people who have high confidence in themselves and know their self-worth and are a lot of times judged as one of those entities. And they're not. They just know who they are. And perhaps when you learn who you are, then you won't be so quick to judge those individuals with those different tight personalities is that's the term I use. They are tight in their personality. Like people like that. You want to surround yourself with positive influences. Just like you need to say positive words, you need positive people around you. If you are a person who are really impacted about your friends and your family, the words that they say, this is going to be a hard area for you, because it means that you take in a lot of stuff. The word I like to use, you take in. I'm real guarded about my energy. I'm real guarded. And so when you take in too many opinions, you start to get confused. You be like, am I going left? Am I going right? And so monitor the impact of words that your friends or your family members speak into you when you're trying to develop your self-esteem. And then you need to learn how to identify and distance yourself from those toxic relationships. Now, y'all, I just tell people, I just stop calling people. I might say, you know what? Although we come to the end of the road, boys to men, I got to let go. I just don't have that kind of time in my life now to have toxic people in my space. I just don't. I told a joke recently. I said, listen, I'm 50 years old and I don't know what the next 50 are going to hold and how long those 50 extra I'm going to still be here. And so I can't, if you're not going where I'm going, it's okay. I loved you during that season, but I got to move on to another season. Here's a hard piece of advice that I have to give you. Everybody's not going to want to grow. Everybody's not going to want to go. And a whole lot of people are thinking, there is nothing wrong with me, so let them go on about their business. Okay. You love people for a season and then you let go. Right? And then I want you to understand, now this is something you guys can start practicing how to do. Get your gratitude journal. Write down, if you had a good day, write down what in that day made you feel good. One of my favorite sayings when I was in a certain industry, I used to always say, I didn't have a great day. I had a great moment. I had one moment that gave me a great day. Start writing that down in your gratitude journal. That would be a good way to start building your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And then it'll start helping you get away from some of those toxic things as well. And then celebrate yourself. Each time that you see that you did something with great confidence, celebrate yourself. I am the queen. Everybody in my family will tell you, they'll know just as good when I had a great moment. I'm going to buy me a bag of trail mix. I don't drink sodas, so I'm going to give me a good bottle of water, and I might turn on some cartoons or something. I'm just going to sit there. I might Netflix. I'm just going to enjoy myself. When you have those wins, start celebrating your wins with your confidence just as much as you have beat yourself in the head in the past over what was not a confidential situation, or you didn't use the right wisdom in determining a situation. Celebrate yourself. There's a song, I think it was by Yolanda Adams. She said, encourage yourself. Y'all better start doing that. Only you can determine what that looks like. And so the key point that I want you guys to take away from this episode of Love and Esteem and building and maintaining self-confidence, I want you to remember that self-love is a journey. This may not come overnight. It is not a destination. It's what's inside of you. It's who you are, what you want to be, not only to the world, but to yourself first. You got to be the best you first before you can be good for anybody else. And then I want you to learn how to embrace your own qualities. You remember what I said? It is okay to be different. And then I want you to set healthy boundaries. Learn how to say no. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. It's okay. Start speaking good to and about yourself. Do not throw away your confidence, as it says in Hebrews 10:35-36. And before we end this episode, I want you to say again, yes, I'm repeating it on purpose. Remember what I said? It takes 21 days for some things to stick. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so until next time, I want you to stay strong, stay confident, and keep smiling. Because guess what? You got this.